Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, this is the midwifery bill. And what we're doing, we're not licensing the midwives. They are going to continue to go to the health department and be on a registry. Right now, we have approximately 12 lay midwives in the state, 12, and 2 of those are registered at the Department of Health as registered midwives. And what they have done to be placed on that registry is that they have gone through the NARM, the National American Registry of Midwives, and taken the examination and taken that skill set, and that gives them the authority to become a registered midwife. What we're doing in this bill is 3 things. We're going to allow the other 10 and whomever else would want to become a registered midwife to do that. They'll have to graduate from an accredited midwifery education accreditation council, or they can go under a apprenticeship with an approved midwife, and they'll go through the skill set and take the exam. Or they may be grandmothered in, and when they're grandmothered in, they will have to have had a minimum of 75 births in the last 10 years, with at least 10 of those births in the last 2 years, and a minimum of 50 newborn examinations in that period of time, and 75 postpartum visits. There is nothing in here that allows them to practice medicine or any reference to practicing medicine. We also took care to make sure that those people who had a religious interest in performing midwifery were protected. And we also allowed for mothers, aunts, and sisters who wanted to deliver their daughters, nieces, or granddaughters' children to be protected. And all of the necessary paperwork will have to be performed by the midwives, so any outcomes as it relates to a delivery will be reported to the health department. If there are no questions.
All right. We've got a couple of 3 questions. First of all, Dr. Bonnerant, gentleman from Grenada.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to speak against the bill at the proper time.
Now's the proper time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, there are relatively few times that you've ever seen me come down here to speak against the public health bill that we've discussed in committee. I think that the chairman and I have discussed this before, and so he's aware that I'm doing this. It's not a surprise. Let me tell you what my objections to this are. In the Medical Practice Act that defines the practice of medicine, there is a line that specifically says that midwifery is not the practice of medicine. Midwifery is the delivery of babies. What we have right now are essentially 3 classes of training for individuals who deliver babies in this state. The most advanced education and training requirements are those of physicians who do obstetrics. The second class is for nurse midwives. Nurse midwives have to go through RN training, then have to go through additional training after that to become certified as nurse midwives. The third group we have is essentially the lay midwives. These are people who deliver babies that have not had any state sanction in the form of licensing. What the bill is bringing to you today is an attempt to give that third group a state sanction for the practice of midwifery. It will still give us a fourth group then that will not come under this, and that is the group that decides not to get any sort of certification or registry from this legislation. So we'll now have 4 groups of people who have varying degrees of training in delivering babies. The reason I'm opposed to the bill is because in my entire professional life, I have been working to do the best I can to provide a safe and healthy environment for the delivery of women and their children in this state. I have spent many, many hours lots of times in the middle of the night, doing the best that I could, trying to make sure that we had a healthy mother and a healthy baby. What this bill will do is simply allow this other group to begin to practice under state imprimatur of a registry. It doesn't give them a license, but it does give the state sanction to this group. And what they are trying to do is they're trying to emphasize home births. Now, there may be people who want to do home births, and if they make an informed decision to do that, then that's fine, that's their decision. But let me tell you what the latest statistics are on home birth. The latest data that has just come out in a study that was done in thousands and thousands of home births, they had to take studies that were from all over the world, show that the neonatal mortality, let me repeat that phrase, neonatal mortality, that means deaths of babies in the first month after they're born, triples in home births. It triples. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think that we should do anything to prevent women from having home births. If that's what they want to do, make their own decision about that. But I simply feel that it is not good state policy for us to imply any type of state sanction to individuals who want to emphasize home births when we know that this leads to a tripling of neonatal mortality.
Dr. Monteron, I believe maybe we have some questions to you. Gentleman Pearl River, did we used to ask the doctor a question?
I just want to ask, and if he's familiar, I'll ask either one, but I just want to ask a few questions because I'm unclear. And I assume he knows, under current law, and I know I heard your four groups, but under current law, are there these 12 people that we're talking about can practice what we're calling midwifery, baby delivery at someone's home without any government sanction or punishment. Is that correct?
Correct.
These 12. Tomorrow, if number 13 wanted to do the same thing under current law, number 13, 14, and 15 could do the same thing?
Correct.
Okay. Once we pass this law, and I'm a little confused because I heard the lady say this is not providing for licensure, but I'm reading the title that says provide for licensure. So I'm a little confused there. Do it or does it not provide, does it or does it not provide for licensure?
No, my reading of the bill is that there's no licensure involved. This is a registry.
So either it's been amended then or the short title's a misnomer? Got it. Okay. I'm just trying to get there. Now, we're not going to license them.
Gentleman's time to expire, but I'm going to allow him 2 more minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We're not trying to license them, but we are going to permit them. Is that correct?
It's not really, I don't think it's really a permit, it's a registry. What they do.
For the 12.
Well, I don't know the exact number that it's going to be,
Well,
but it's a group that's
well,
out
before
there
my
now.
2 minutes runs out, let me ask this, because I understand the 12 just go register, but then after that, I believe I understood that anyone else would have to graduate, and I wrote this down as she said it, graduate from a course offered by the health department. So at that point, if you want to do it, you do have to take a course, so it's not just a simple registration. We may not call it a license, but it certainly will be a permit, because without that course, you could not do this legally. Is that your understanding of the explanation?
No, sir. We would still have in the Medical Practice Act the last line that says the practice of midwifery is not the practice of medicine. So under the bill is that we would have 4 groups. We would have physicians, obstetricians, we would have certified nurse midwives, we would have the certified professional midwives, which is what this registry is going to be, and then we would have still there would not be a law against anyone else doing this that wanted to.
What if you're not kin? I know it wouldn't be a law if it's your niece or your aunt or your mother, but what if you weren't kin to the person whose baby you were delivering?
Yeah, I don't think. There's a religious exception as well.
Okay, I think I'm with you.
Lady from Lincoln for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentleman yield?
Yes, ma'am.
We really don't know who these 12 people are, or 10, or what, do we have a list of those?
I've
Or
met
is that
with
just like out there?
I've met with about 3 or 4 of them. I don't know the rest of them. I believe the vice chair has met with several of them.
And do you believe that this will be an increased amount in the state if we allow this to happen now?
An increase.
They will come from everywhere here because other states don't allow this?
There are other states that do allow this. I have no idea if it would lead to an increase in
well,
number.
Does it bother you, because it bothers me greatly, that it has on there that they're going to give them postpartum treatment? Isn't that practicing medicine?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The gentleman from Grenada, Dr. Bondurant, did tell me, and he did oppose this in committee as well. I'm reasonably ambivalent on this, but, you know, after 28 years of being in here, there are groups that come to us, and that's what happened here. I don't think a soul just sat in their seat and thought this bill up. To our recollection, there are 12 of these people. It's almost a cultural practice in this state. It used to be way many more, but unfortunately they died out over time. If you will, it is a dying trade in this state. But they came to us, and there is a national credentialing registry for midwifery. And to my knowledge, I'm representing this as fact, I don't think midwifery is outlawed in any of the 50 states. Again, it's a cultural practice which pretty much has its roots in the South, really. Its genesis in the South. And these people just asked to have another option that where in 5 years they can go through this. Now, it's not a health department won't have anything to do with it except they'll have the registry. But they'll go through this nationally gathered training, and they can get on a register and they can go from there. It's a policy decision of the House. We're talking about 12 human beings is what we're talking about that we know of in the entire state, and they know who they are, certainly, and you better believe they're a pretty tight-knit group, and they asked for this. So I would ask that it advance, and let's see what we can do as it moves through the process, and if there are any things in here that are just really out of kilter, we'll try to fix them in conference.
All right. Gentleman from Minnesota, you have a question?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Well, gentleman, you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, are these midwives, are they able to bill for Medicaid?
No, sirree.
They can?
100% private pay.
Thank you, sir.
Gentleman from Oklahoma for a question.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
Gentleman, the gentleman from Grenada brings up some very good points, but on this particular issue, we are faced with either completely outlawing midwifery and making it a crime, and it is a cultural thing, or have some kind of minimum requirements for you to practice this. Is short of licensing or permitting, but we either make it a crime or we have some minimum standards of what you have to be qualified for.
I would say there was a third option. We didn't have to do anything, they'd just be out there and practice. It's again a typical example of a group that wanted to do better for themselves, and they came and asked us for this.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The gentleman, you.
Yes, sir.
Just to clarify what the gentleman from Oklahoma asked, if we pass this or if we don't pass this, these people will still be out there practicing. Isn't that right?
Absolutely.
So the public health benefit of actually having a registry where these people will know where they are, that would be the benefit of passing this. Is that correct?
Absolutely. No doubt about it. We will know who they are. We'll know where they are. And if any new ones come in, we'll know who they are, and they will be credentialed to this point. Lady from Vice Chairman.
Gentleman from Leak has a question. You yield.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I don't really know how to ask this
Just
question,
ask
but
it.
I can tell you this, when you working in the back of an ambulance and you taking a lady to UMC and she's in labor, sent from Carthage, the baby was already crowning, and when we got to 471, we had to pull over and deliver that baby. You know, the woman does most of the work anyway.
Yes, sir.
So
I don't know nothing about birthing no babies, but I hear I got 4, but.
Gentlemen have a question.
yeah, what's the difference? I mean,
Well, I think what you're saying is possibly if I don't have Dr. Bondurant at my wife's side to help with the delivery, I've got you as an EMT, and I could bring a midwife in. I believe I'd rather have the midwife.
Clerk, by a vote of 70 yeas, 49 nays, the bill passes.